So, for those of us joining us later, because this is recorded, and if you're listening on audio or video, we have a special guest from Canada today. So, could you please introduce yourself and tell us where you live?
Sure. My name is Melody Wilson. I work with Remax Elite, and I am here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, which is north of, I think, Montana. That's where
Okay,
we are.
north of Montana.
Yeah.
And, it's funny because growing up in Miami since I was four, we're terrible in geography in this country. We're
I know
like,
that's why I said north of Montana. We're north of you. And it is like, we don't typically, in April, it's not typically this cold, but it looks right now like it's January. It's full of snow. It's snowing right now, too.
oh, wow, that's amazing. I live
Yeah.
in Miami and it's like 80 something today. So I think I
It,
prefer your weather.
it's minus 11 Celsius.
Oh, wow. Wow.
No, I don't think you would prefer my weather.
On April 1st, too. Wow.
I know, and it's not even a joke. It's just you live in Canada, that's what you get.
Right, right. So tell me how life is. How's it going? And I wanna ask you quite a few questions about Canada because I guess I'm interested, and I think a lot of other people would be. So
Yeah.
how first of all, how are you doing? How's the family? And how's just life in general?
We are all healthy, doing well. Kids are all staying at home. The last time we left the house was maybe a week ago to go for a walk outside from far away from people. And things have, I mean, I don't know in the States how it is, and especially I think every state is different in terms of where they're at. But I know for us on March 15th, that's when schools were officially closed for the rest of the year. So that week, every day, just it seemed like it was elevating in terms of what you could and couldn't do. So we're all trying to adjust to a new normal. This past week, the schools technically came back into session because the week last week was supposed to be spring break, which of course wasn't really spring break, but it was. And then this week, this kids are getting all their curriculum and getting started with their teachers online. Our household, my husband homeschools the kids, so that didn't change other than the fact that they are losing out on their gym classes and everything that's outside of the home.
So when does school start again?
They said not until the fall.
Oh, wow. So quite a few months. That's
Yeah.
And for you guys, I guess homeschooling, it, like you said, it doesn't make as much of a difference. Your husband must be incredible to homeschool them because I've been speaking to so many friends that have been doing that, and they're like, "Whoa, much respect for the teachers," you know?
But we also, there's something important to note too. Like homeschooling is different than what most families are doing right now, which is called crisis schooling. You didn't choose to homeschool your children, and it's definitely not like normal circumstances of why people are schooling their children at home. So as a homeschool mom, we've been very trying to just remind everyone to have some grace because it took us years to get into a groove where we're at, and not to get so worried about kids education as much as just making sure that the kids are doing okay with what's going on, because this is a traumatic event that we're all going through right now, and to worry about getting your homework done is kind of the least of people should be the least of people's worries. I'm not saying education's not important, it's just we got to put our priorities in line.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. How old are your kids?
6, 9, and 12.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's those are great ages, but tough ages
Well,
to
I'm very
teach.
grateful that our kids are not 2 and 3. Like my heart goes out to the parents with the kids at home that are, that's not an age where you can just say be quiet and do your own thing.
Totally, totally. So how is life in Canada? How are people's response, I guess, in your general area, prior to being, at home? How are people reacting to the coronavirus and everything else?
So in Canada, when did it start? I would say again, 2 weeks ago was really different amongst the different provinces. We all have our different statistics. Ontario and BC, because that's where a lot of international flights fly into, that they have seemed to have a higher response in terms of cases of COVID. I know that everyone has different lockdowns and what's permissible. Last week, Ontario announced their essential services list. And then this following week, our provinces have followed suit. So we pretty much are on the same page as Ontario. Quebec, which has always been the province that has a varying opinion about everything, they have a different list than everyone else. But that's not a surprise because that's always how that's how it's been. But Canada, they make their statements, and then it's also provincially enforced as well. Canada has given a lot of financial support right now, and so has the provincial government. I'm sure some people don't think it's enough, but I do think it's interesting that there's so much stuff coming out, because obviously it became more and more real when you start to see different incentives coming out. The first one was talk about mortgage deferral program. You know, if everyone is in the same boat, it's not like one person is losing their job and having mortgage deferral. Obviously, it's an entire world thing that they're doing those. The government keeps announcing more and more support systems. So they have EI, like employment insurance, that they've been offering to people who had to be quarantined, and then also for people who've been laid off because of COVID. And then now there's the small business loan that they're coming out with. They're also doing tax reductions for businesses to try to keep their employees. There's a new thing right now about 75% wage, like they're supposed to help you with 75% of your employees' wages, because they're hoping that you can keep your employee instead of laying them off and then having to get EI. So there's a lot of different government incentives, and I think that changes the tone of what's going on. And I know for our province, because we officially just in March 15th just said schools are done for the year, it caused quite a bit of panic compared to the other provinces, where the other provinces were saying, well, we're closed for the end of the month, or we're back in a month. But of course now those periods are now being extended. That school is still not going to be in session until May 1st. But
Okay.
you know, that could change again, right?
Yeah. So like prior to being at home and when you were able to go out and about, what would you see? Were people wearing masks? Were they wearing gloves? Were they using good social distancing?
There was some people wearing masks and gloves, but there definitely was not a thing. And social distancing really wasn't a thing before that. We're not completely locked down right now, but everyone has chosen, I know here, to stay home and only go out when essentially needed. I know for myself, over the weeks, my business has changed each single week because things have become more and more intense, I guess is the right word. And so I'm trying to limit how much I go out as well for work, because I don't want to expose my children, and I don't want to expose other people by doing that, even though I'm healthy. But you just never know, right? Because there's some people that are asymptomatic and could be carrying the virus.
Yeah, totally. So about business, can you do business now, or how are you doing that if you are?
Yeah, so we are considered an essential service. Real estate is that. However, it's definitely not business as usual. So even though we're allowed to continue with business, I think a lot of us are making changes in terms of what we're doing. So for me, we've always been doing technology. So that's never been an issue to change over that way. It's just a matter of now I'm finding a lot more people are comfortable with Zoom because they're using it for work. Now everyone knows what Zoom is. Whereas before I would ask people to meet online and they'd be like, what is Zoom? Because with out of town clients, I've always met with them on Zoom, whether it be selling or buying their home, and I would do it this way. So now we've just translated it to here locally. We meet everyone on Zoom first. For sellers, we are limiting how many people are going into the home by, for example, we've simplified the process. We have one person that goes in, does photo, the virtual tour, and the measurements all in one shot instead of having multiple people through. Our stager is doing things by taking photos and then doing a Zoom call to talk to them about their staging consult instead of going into the house. Same as the pre-listing inspection. So we're still able to provide our services just from afar, but we also talk to our clients about, why are you selling right now? And do you have to sell? Because now is not the time to I kind of feel like trying out the market. And we also
Right.
don't know at any time if things continue to elevate, because we are still at the beginning, I think, of what's going on. So things could change, and we need to make sure the sellers are comfortable to show their home. We are asking all of the buyers agents to make sure that they go over the virtual tour with the buyer before they even come. And then we have to sign hold harmless if they want to show the property, and then they have to practice social distancing. There's a lot of like, it's definitely not business as usual, and there's a lot of extra work. Same as the buyer side, we do the same thing. I'll do a Zoom call and go over the property with them on Zoom. So we're literally showing the property, going through the house and whatnot, and going through all the information. And if it's really that serious, we're ready to write an offer, then we would go look. So we have changed things, and things have quieted down quite a bit.
Yeah, it seems like you guys have always been ahead of the game with your business, with technology and other stuff. And with this, do you feel like it's helped you even more? Have you figured out any more opportunities or efficiencies with your business because of, doing business much differently than the past?
Well, so Canadians, we can't all be clumped together because there's a lot of realtors that are not technologically savvy that have had to learn very
I'm saying
quickly right now.
you guys are, right?
You guys as in us?
Like you
Yeah.
and your team or
Yeah, yes, yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So we've found some other things to do in terms of technology. So, because we always pride ourselves in being ahead of the game. So now if everyone is now on the game of technology, how are we going to bring up an even higher level? So we're doing things like we're doing narration videos to market our properties, where there's like my little head on the corner and I'm walking through the home with the people. And it's obviously it's not a Zoom call because someone's watching the video. But there's so many more eyes on screens right now. We're making sure we leverage that and just making sure we provide valuable content to people that are needing that. We've been on our YouTube channel, it's about living in Edmonton for families. And so what are families needing right now? They're all at home with their kids. And so a few weeks ago, before the schools were coming out with curriculum, we did a video called Activities for Kids at Home to give them ideas. So we're just constantly using what we're already doing and just trying to cater it to bring value to the people that are needing it right now. Because right now it's just, there's definitely a lot of fear and a lot of stress and a lot of unknown and uncertainty. I mean, I'm sure that's no different than where you are right now. But I had a
Yeah.
client in Florida, actually, I was talking to a few weeks ago, and they didn't understand almost the complexities of what we were dealing with because it wasn't, the atmosphere there was not the same as what it was here. So they couldn't understand. And then now I think you guys are not caught up, but like now they understand. And now they
Yeah.
decided to back off completely on selling their investment property here because the dollar's
Florida,
dropped too.
yeah, Florida is always like a little bit behind. It's like we're,
You're on
half
vacation.
the people are great and half the people are like just don't get it. But I think as a whole now we are, much better. We have to stay home. Today, finally, they put in a stay home order and essential
Okay.
services. So you were saying like I think March 15th was when your schools or something like that.
Yep.
And today's April 1st, so that's 2.5 weeks or whatever. So totally different. So back to the business aspect, because I'm interested, just because you do things a little bit differently. How are you reaching out to your clients now? And I know you've always done Zoom already, but how would do you, first of all, are you contacting your clients? And if you are, what would be like a conversation?
I'm just reaching out right now to my clients to see how they're doing. That's it. I'm checking to see, like, I know some of my clients just had babies, they have young kids. So I'm just like checking in on them. I'm either sending them a bomb video or I'm texting them or reaching out by phone and just asking them how they're doing, how their family is doing. Is there anything I can do to help them? Obviously from a distance, what could I do? Being a homeschool mom, even though my husband does the majority of the homeschooling, it really has come in handy to just, be able to hopefully provide some emotional support, but also some ideas and resources. And honestly, there's so many resources out there. So we actually started a couple of Facebook groups to do with staying at home and another one to do with working from home. So one is working from home is kids or no kids, you could be without children and be in that group. And then the staying home together is a group that is to do with parents. So we're interviewing people. I had an interview with a gym teacher to kind of talk about what he suggests to do. We have some interviews lined up with a nutritionist, with an art studio owner, to get some ideas. And we're constantly sharing, because I keep seeing all these great resources that come up on Facebook. And so I wanted to have a place where at least the group, it's all organized, because it's all categorized, and I can categorize everything. So I can click YouTube channels, and then here's all the YouTube channels to check out. I can click on high school level, and then all the high school level posts come on there. So we're just trying to build a community right now and just connect with people to see how they're doing. I have had people reach out to me asking about if they should still sell their home or not. So then we have that conversation together offline. But in terms of reaching out and the messaging of what I'm saying to people when I'm talking to them, I just really want to know how they're doing, if there's anything we can do to help, because this is a very stressful time right now.
Yeah, so like when you say that, that's nice to hear, you know, it's not always about business. And
No.
how do you keep the kids entertained?
Well, we're blessed because they have been used to being entertained on their own. So we have a routine, and what we did last week, I actually had to reset our schedule, because even though we're used to being at home, they are also used to being going out and doing things and seeing their friends. So we made a new schedule last week with a big family meeting, and we also did a new schedule for me. And so then my kids can see when I'm working and what I'm doing, so they know not to disturb me. And then also I can see what they're doing, and we talked about the things that they wanted to do. It's interesting what they want to do, and then we put that into the calendar. So the kids are really, actually, this is, as of tomorrow, it'll be the first full week of doing the calendar. Laundry is running right now because they know it's laundry day right now. So it's actually been kind of a blessing, because there's some good habits being formed right now, some good new things that we've implemented. So the kids have been staying pretty entertained, and for the most part, not fighting too much.
So what are some of the interesting things that they want to do?
Well, not yesterday, but yesterday was family doodle night. So our kids have been
Oh,
watching Lunch Doodles with Mo. I don't know if you've seen that, but
no.
he's got a YouTube. He's just on YouTube, and he's a famous illustrator, and he is quite the personality. So he goes every day at lunchtime. He talks with the kids, and he shows them how to doodle one of these things, and he reads one of the books that he's illustrated. So they've been inspired to draw, and so they wanted us to have a family doodle night. So we did that last night, and we've had some family game nights, um, baking time. My one kid loves baking, so I've had to limit him though, because I said, Mom is gonna get too fat. I can't stay on top of my exercise and eat all this baking. There's like, made 8 dozen cinnamon buns last weekend.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
So how is that? Like, so in Miami, you know, everyone's on their phones, just besides COVID or Corona. Prior to that, people would be on their phones, not really going out that much. And now I'm actually walking a lot and doing more exercise outdoors, and it's like everyone is outside because we're allowed to do that. Is that allowed there? And do you see more of that there?
So for one, it's freezing here. It's
Oh, right,
cold.
right, right.
Um, but people are coming out, but they're getting very strict now. So this past week, the Canadian government, I think it was them, has given the rights to the provincial and the city to give out tickets. So this past week, this guy they were given tickets for not properly social distancing while walking their dogs. $1,000.
Wow.
Yep. Because you can't just have, a whole bunch of people now congregate, and they just closed the playgrounds down last week because kids were going to the playgrounds and
Right.
congregating there.
That makes sense because in New York,
Yeah.
even though I don't live there, I heard that they did the same because they couldn't sanitize. It's impossible to sanitize it every single second, you know?
And like, it's all metal and it's all surfaces that you're touching, and kids don't do social distancing, they play. So yeah, so they closed those down. So in answer to your question about people walking, like, yes, I see people walking, but I know that the tickets have started this week, and so people need to be very careful. And also, I think someone got pulled over. I don't know how they figured it out, but they were driving someone in their car that they shouldn't be, who wasn't part of their family, and they got a ticket for that too, because you're not social distancing in a car.
Right, right,
Because I don't know what your social distancing is over there, but they say 6 feet in between.
right. Yeah, similar. Same here. I have
Yeah.
8 doctors in my immediate family, so I'm definitely well versed on some of this stuff. Um, it's good to see actually those steep penalties for doing things because it definitely stops people from doing them, especially as the story spread about how much someone got fined.
And
Here, like the
it's not like they want to do it, but they had to implement it because it wasn't consistently being done. I think that's the problem, right? Like we live in a democracy and everyone has free will and all this stuff, but then when you don't listen and respect what the authorities are saying, you're causing people to be potentially in harm's way, right?
Yeah, totally. So, since you guys are, I keep saying you guys, do you have a team or is it?
Myself and two assistants are my
Okay,
team.
okay,
They're
I
working
guess,
from home.
right,
They're
right.
also both moms and they have 4 children each, so they have their head work cut out for them too.
Wow, so 11
Yeah.
kids between the three of you guys. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not joining that club. Three is we're done.
You guys should just do videos on being and parenting, because I'm sure it would provide a lot of value, especially nowadays, you know.
Yep.
So, so I know you're a great agent, and anyone with a team and a couple admins means you're doing something really right. And so for those people that are listening to this or watching this, and they want to improve their business, whether it's in a more fun way or just to get better at it, what what advice could you give them?
Are you talking about during this time or after this time or
No, just in general. If
in
you have
general?
some great tips for now, that would be good as well. But basically, just in general.
In general, big thing I shared with my brokerage office yesterday is mindset. Protecting your mindset is like the absolute 100% key thing that has, because our market prior to what's going on right now, we've been in a declining market for the last 5 years. But in the last 5 years of declining market, we've been able to still help 400 families. So
Wow.
it's not impossible to help you. If your mind is in the right place, then you know you can always help no matter what the actual market is doing. So I think that my biggest key is like make sure you're protecting your mindset. Tom Ferry is talking big about making sure you take your meds, meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep. And I think it's so important. That's part of your mindset because you're not going to have a healthy mindset if you're overtired or you're so stressed out or you just been eating junk and your head is clouded. That really affects it. And people look to you and they're attracted to you because you're settled and you're calm. It doesn't mean I don't feel like I know everything. I definitely also feel like this is overwhelming too. But I'm also just being authentic and real. Like this is the facts. This is what we can do right now, and just be sensitive to what's going on and make sure that everyone is comfortable. And I mean, safety is the priority right now, right? But in general, pre-COVID, after COVID, mindset's still a huge thing. And then always like knowing your numbers and knowing what you're doing and staying in motion. So just constantly making a goal and going towards it. I know right now is a very difficult time. So Tom's has that pivot program. So we're just doing 30 days, but which I think is great. Cause for me, I was like, what about this business plan I made from the beginning of the year? How does this even work? But it really isn't, it's not even applicable anymore because that was created pre this world and the world has changed. And so you have to make adjustments to it. And I think that's part of also being successful is being resilient and having grit and always learning. I've got a bunch of Audible books going, and then I'm also doing as much as I can right now with there's a ton of free webinars right now, so much. Just trying to take in as much as I can.
Yeah. So, do you have any favorite Audible books that you've read?
Well, Grit by Angela Duckworth is one. That was from last year. It was very interesting because I felt like she was speaking about my life. And then, so so I just downloaded Get Out of Your Head is a book by Jenny Allen. And then Never Split the Difference, the classic. I'm sure a lot of realtors have read that. One of the things that I've been doing in the last year is learning more about who I am as a person and how I can be best serving other people. But that means I need to know how my husband is, how my children are, how my clients are, how my friends are. Everyone has different personalities. And so, and the Enneagram, I don't know if you've heard of it, but I've been using that tool to learn more about who I am, because the Enneagram isn't just a personality thing. It talks about your core fears, motivation, and longings. So when me and my husband are fighting and he's a different personality, I can remember, oh, right, I'm right now feeding his core fear of this, and he's feeding my core fear of this, and that's how we can't get through to each other. So there's a few books that I've read about. One is called The Road Back to You, which is an Enneagram book, and there's another one called Becoming Us, which is specifically a marriage one. And there's also a parenting one that I haven't downloaded yet. So those are, I find it's really important is when you're to be successful, you need to be a fully rounded person. If you're just only successful in real estate and you've neglected your family, I don't really believe that's success, because you've sacrificed what's most important. And right now, when we're all stripped to our essential things, I think it's actually been a good reset for a lot of people. It's like, what is really important to me? And what do we really need to be spending our money on? Because now, if money is scarce, where are we going to put our money into, right? Food, all the essentials. So those are kind of the key books. I have also The Ideal Team Player. So if there's anyone looking to build a team, that book is amazing. When I had a team, that I was like, oh, there's that person. There's that. Oh, that's what I know, that person. It's quite, and the way that he does the book, it's like very much, it's all storytelling. So it's actually really interesting to read.
Nice. I'm definitely going to check that one out. I have two people on my team. Jade is 23 and Will is 25, and I'm
Oh, you
50.
have millennials.
Yes,
That's a
yes.
whole nother topic.
And I'm teaching them social media, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool to do that. But I have this tool. It's artificial intelligence, and I'm gonna pull up your personality and I'm gonna send it
Okay.
to you, and it's gonna
Sure.
tell you a bunch of things like strengths, weaknesses, how to negotiate with you, a bunch of things. You may know it, you may not, but it'll be fun. And I just want to thank you so much for being on. It was really fun hanging out with you for a bit.
Yeah,
And
thanks. It was fun too.
please stay safe, okay?
Yeah, you too. Have a
Take
good
care.
day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.